I'm Cameron Korab, and as Maria said, I am the founder of the U Sports Business Report. And simply put, the U Sports Business Report was founded on the ideology of telling stories around media, data, and deals, which just so happens is our topic of conversation for today. So, quick shout out to the best dressed man in all of U Sports, Mark O'Brien, for having me, and Maria for letting me steal a little bit of time, but really excited to dive in. So let's meet our panelists. First, we have Nick Busto, VP of Video Operations from SportsEngine. Welcome, Nick. Great shoes. And next, we have David Rudolph, founder of PlayOn Sports. Welcome, David. All right, gentlemen, we can take a seat. So, David, anything new?
Slow week for me.
Yeah.
No, I don't think we corrected the slide, did we? Yeah, I used to say CEO. I gave up that title this week, and I have moved over into a role heading up streaming for PlayOn. So, yes, it was quite an active week.
Couple new LinkedIn followers, maybe?
Yeah, we were joking before. That's my least favorite thing about being a part of a big announcement is I think I'm at 240 invites in the last 48 hours. So if I haven't gotten back to you, I will eventually.
That's light work. So we'll jump into our first topic here. We're going to talk about the distribution evolution in youth sports content. So the current scale in youth sports streaming comes from the sheer volume of games, not necessarily the audience size per game, as we're all attuned to. So this raises a very fundamental question of, can youth sports content ever break through beyond the family and friends audience, or is hyperlocal viewership actually its true value prop? So Nick, why don't we start with you, and then David, we can move on.
Yeah, I'd say both a little bit. And it depends, I think, on what your vision is and who your customer is, right? Who you're trying to serve. So for us at SportsEngine Play, we live for the hyperlocal, right? We're trying to be there for every moment, for every game, really with the intent of serving that fan community, the parent, grandparent, that athlete, that core group. And I think with all the discussion around the youth sports industry, one of the things that gets left out is really how messy it is. Youth sports are messy. Taking a couple hundred games in a weekend for one event, doing that dozens of times over, thousands of games over the course of a weekend is hard. Yeah. And live sports are hard with the network. And so putting live sports and youth sports together is really challenging. So for us, doing that well, that's number one. That's the fundamental. And if you do that well at scale, you start to find yourself in buildings like this. We've got cameras here, partners like LakePoint or Prep Baseball or Puma Hoops, and then you start to see content that, well, maybe this is pretty good content. Maybe it can start to be worthy of elevated production or elevated distribution. And so we've started to test that out. I mean, fortunately, having roots kind of DNA, being a media company, both in NBC historically and now in Versant. If you look at Puma Hoops, I think we stream 10,000 plus games a year. Top 10 of those are on Peacock. If you stream the Babe Ruth Cal Ripken World Series, we had the semifinals and finals on CNBC. I think the Little League World Series kind of validates the notion that there can be an audience, but at the same time, that's an outlier, right? That's been, 50 plus years in the making for ESPN. So I think the biggest difference between what we do on an everyday basis and trying to elevate that production is storytelling.
Yep.
And if I'm a youth athlete or a youth sports parent and I turn on the TV, why do I care, right? What's the story behind this kid? Where are they going to college? How many times have these teams played? What's at stake? And I think for us, between what we've done in tests and obviously using something like the League World Series as a little bit of a North Star, that storytelling component is really where you have to focus to kind of cross that chasm.
Yeah, and I'd say from my aspect, right, the storytelling pieces are the pieces that the broader audience loves to see. And don't get me wrong, the high school students, David, probably as you can attest to, love being a part of, right? And NIL is, I believe, driving a lot of that. So, David, if you want to comment on any of the...
Yeah, what you said, will it ever break through?
Will it ever break through?
Yeah, I mean, like those of you who know me, like I'm never short to have a firm opinion. Doesn't mean I'm about 51% right. So I'll go firm opinion on this one. No, that's I think it's fundamentally a local, hyper-personalized product, and I think that's a feature of the product, and I think you have to lean into that. Now, never is a long time. So there's always the exceptions. There's the team, there's the story, there's the athlete, there's the game that breaks through, that captures national attention. You said Little League World Series, and what popped to mind was the female pitcher from a few years like that. So there's always those that pop through and kind of, but it's really, really difficult to build a business and a scaled business around those one-off moments because they're so unpredictable. So I think you have to build your foundation of the business on the long tail, on the hyper-personalized, and then try to take advantage when you have things like those storylines that break through.
Yeah, definitely. And that leads us nicely into our second topic, which is all around personalization versus parents will pay anything, which kind of sounds like a Jeopardy topic. So parents fundamentally care about their kids, sometimes their kids' teams, but rarely anything beyond that. So you guys are speaking about personalization. How do you create truly personalized products and things that parents and maybe grandparents and scouts want to interact with and value and versus I'm putting this product out there because I know parents are going to pay top dollar for this product.
Yeah, David, you want to go first? I do think personalization is a big piece of it. I think if you kind of take a step back to the question that I think a lot of people, and Mark says this consistently well, is who's your customer and how can you deliver the best experience possible? And so I think creating a personalized experience is one element, and creating a simple experience is the other. So the combination of kind of personalization, simplicity, and when you look at that in a video and streaming world, is how do you get me to my content as fast as possible? And if you take a step back more broadly within kind of just consumer trends, you've got Netflix telling you what to watch, TikTok algorithms, even I think the new ESPN app has a sports center for you, right? Create your own sports center. And so when you add the elevated emotion of youth sports into that and you infuse that there, it only creates a greater opportunity, a greater responsibility to do that. So our goal is I've always said kind of, we strive to create an experience where whether you're at the game, whether you're watching the live stream, or maybe you're stuck in traffic coming home, you have the highlights from the person you care about most delivered directly to your phone in real time. Are we there yet? No. But I think when you think about personalization and content in youth sports, while we live for the long form and the live stream, personal highlights are kind of the currency. And so that's really where we're headed. So I do think that's right.
And Nick, maybe a second part of that, as we're sitting in this wonderful facility, plenty of operators come through here. Are you relying on the operators at the facility, or are you trying to take that, and go one step further in the personalization?
It's a great question. It is ever evolving, and it depends on the nature of the partnership. There is so many, obviously when you have someone like LakePoint who really takes a pride in Corey McCartney, I know here somewhere, takes a pride in their storytelling, their content creation. What a gift to be able to work together and have that drive into what we do on the live streaming side. But there's plenty of partners we have where we do a lot of the heavy lifting, right? And we're kind of responsible for taking that on. And so I think for us, it's to be able to have a playbook that we can kind of run consistently when there's not that infrastructure or not that support. But then when you do have someone like a LakePoint, it just makes it that much better.
Yeah, no doubt. David?
Yeah, I mean, high school is complex. I am thankful, though, high school owns its own facilities. So I do not envy the complexity you have to deal with, because I'm assuming at times it's a trilateral situation where you've got to get the club or the team and the facility, and then sometimes there's tournament operators as well in the mix. So we don't have that complexity in high school. Yeah, I mean, my quick answer on this is when I spun this business out of Turner 17 years ago, I focused on the high school space for a couple of reasons. 3, I won't bore you with all 3. One of them, though, was the passion that the fans have for the players who are on the field, which from my experience at the time, and even now having 2 that have gone through high school, it's equal to what you see in the US, the same passion level at the college or pro. It's just a smaller number of people per game. But when it's your kids, you are very passionate about what happens. So I'll answer first from the capitalist perspective and then from the parent perspective.
Perfect.
From the capitalist perspective, passion equals how easy is it to create a business model that works. If there's a lot of passion, you'll figure it out. If the passion is soft, you're going to have to really fine-tune, and you'll probably struggle to figure out what is the right business model. So the passion is there for us in the high school market, and that's made it pretty easy to figure out the business model. From the parent side, I'm sure we could charge probably twice as much as we do.
Yep.
I always get confused between elastic and inelastic. It's one of those.
I didn't pay attention.
But the thing, so you can do it. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. You still have to deliver a great product. And I think you've got to find that right price point that matches the experience that you're delivering to the fan with what you're charging for it. But in general, if you deliver a great experience for parents around their kids, it is not very hard to get people to purchase that product.
Yeah, that's great. With a couple more minutes left, we want to go to our third question, and that's around consolidation question. Obviously, as we know, there's a significant amount of investment that's going into youth sports, and parents are citing one major pain point, and that is the F word, fragmentation. So they want a simplified, consolidated experience across the entire youth journey, from registration to check-in to streaming to highlights, stats, scheduling, etc., ideally in one ecosystem on one app. So what are you guys seeing in the market around this demand for a full stack solution, at your own firms or, out in the marketplace in general? David, you want to go first?
Correct. Yeah. I guess I can do this because we're either accused or expected to be one of the companies doing this consolidation. And we've certainly done quite a bit of it in high school. But I think as you look broader across youth sports, and the way I define youth sports, high school is a segment of that. It's not all of it. It's a piece of it. And by the way, I'm a parent of 3 kids, again, 2 either through high school or in high school. I have all those apps on my phone. I have all our apps, which is NFHS Network, GoFan, and MaxPreps, but I also have SportsEngine and PlayMetrics and TeamSnap, and at different points of this 19 years as a parent, I've used all of them. I think it's a great thesis posed by, I have to be careful with my words here, investors who have little experience operating. And I do think you will see consolidation. So I don't think that trend will go. It is a lot easier to put on a spreadsheet or a piece of paper than it is to execute. Because back to, at the end of the day, just putting companies together doesn't do very much. You have to integrate the technology. You have to integrate the consumer experience. Otherwise, you make it a clunky experience for fans, and that's not going to work well. We have seen examples of this where things have been rolled together and not integrated, and that has not gone well. So I do think the folks who are in this space and who are thinking about this or working on it are taking a more thoughtful approach. But when you look at the broader, I was joking a little bit about the dynamics in the youth space between the venues and the tournaments and the clubs. There's also the complexity of each sport's pretty unique.
Yeah.
If you look at the fabric in terms of by vertical, by sport, and then the different point solutions within it, so whether it's registration or communication or streaming or go through, it's a lot of logos in there. And so to go through that exercise, to integrate all of that, that's not going to happen. I think you'll probably see some integration by sport, would be my guess, because that's a little bit easier, and that way you can build a continuous experience. But if you're a parent and has one kid in soccer and one kid in gymnastics and one kid in basketball, you're probably going to be using at least 3 different apps for the foreseeable future, is my guess.
So create your own folder in the phone, or?
Multiple folders, probably.
Okay.
One per kid.
Okay, got it. And
Or to your point, 1 per sport.
yes.
I think, David, what you said resonates most commonly when you're talking about the experience, right? What is the experience that a given customer has, and whether that customer is a parent, whether it's the athlete, whether it's the event operator, whether it's the facility, the youth sports organization. Just saying that right there goes to show the various customers in the youth sports market, right? And so I think when you think about consolidating, and how we think about it is like, how can we create a better experience? And if I look more focused in kind of our SportsEngine play bubble, it's okay, well, SportsEngine has a history of making acquisitions, so we have the benefit of having tools throughout the ecosystem, and so how can we use those tools and then also partner with tools on the outside? And there's definitely consolidation coming within the ecosystem, but in the meantime, how can we use the tools at our disposal? So if you think about, take one sport, volleyball, for example, you have a tournament operator, maybe they come through LakePoint, they use AES, SportsEngine's event management software, right? We're able to get the schedules, the rosters from AES. We turn the cameras on, they start streaming, we know what games are being played. We have an external partner, Volley Station, doing the electronic score sheets. So now we have live scores that are on the stream, we have scores that are on AES, and because we have that scoring data, the roster data, the schedule data, then we're able to start to deliver those kind of real-time highlights like we were just talking about. And so that's kind of using both internal tools as well as external tools in the market to be able to hopefully try and improve that experience or streamline that experience for both, I guess, the event operator, so they don't have to do anything additional, but also the parent, so they're kind of getting that simplified experience.
No, that's great. And with our last couple minutes, Nick and I are new fathers, so we're talking behind stage. David, give us one piece of advice as a youth sports parent, as new dads.
Yeah, I told you I wasn't going to give you my answer. I'll start with, I'm jealous. Right. I truly, they're both right around a year, is that what you said? Those aren't, I told them, those aren't the easiest years, but it's such a fun journey. I think if I could talk to myself 17 years ago, I think what I'd say is be present. And that's the be there. I jokingly said when I started PlayOn, I did it so that when my kids were in high school, I could never miss one of their games. I didn't realize it was going to take me 17 years to actually create that, but it is such a gift to be able to watch the games when I can't be there, but physically being present is part of it. Second part is put the phone down, watch the game. Hopefully it's because we're streaming it, we're capturing it for you, and you can relive it afterwards. But it drives me crazy. I've actually gotten to become one of those cranky old dads on the sideline where I'm telling folks put your phone down. It's just watch the game and cheer, and but don't watch the game through a screen. Watch it, be a part of it. You're about to have a journey and memories that'll define your life and define your kid's life. So have fun.
All right, Nick, good? All right.
Incredible, thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Nick and David. That's our time. Appreciate LakePoint and Mark O'Brien for having us. Thanks.
Thank you.